What if deep down you are secretly a player? Or maybe it's just where you're at in life right now. Your stereotypical player is the dude who always seems to have girls chasing after him, and then due to social proof, getting even more girls to chase him becomes an increasingly easier thing to do. Many of us have met a few natural players in our lifetime, and after seeing one, you most likely ask yourself, what exactly is it that makes this guy so smooth? What is it that makes them so good at what they do? Truth be told, most natural players I've met are really good with girls, but they're not the type of guy that you'd actually want to become friends with. And there's no denying that they have a very effective set of skills, and what you're about to learn are these subtle skills that allow the players to play in a league that is beyond the reach of most men. So with that said, let's get right into it. Number 1, players are cold. Many of the smoothest, most charming men in the world also happen to be serial killers, or they were men who had one or more of the dark triad traits, which makes them appear to have no emotions. And what this does is it makes them come off as cold. When we are looking for friends, something that we always look for is emotion, because when a person shows emotion, they are revealing their hand, so to speak, and telling you all kinds of things about their personality, and the more that we know about someone, the more that we feel that we can trust them. One of the greatest signs or skills of the player is simply a lack of emotions, or what some would call the art of being cold. Many guys think that the best way to increase their attractiveness is to show emotions around girls and to be super friendly. But this is exactly the opposite of how it works in the real world. Girls will always be far more attracted to a man who doesn't show emotions than one who does, because being masculine is associated with a lack of emotions, and being masculine is extremely attractive. Imagine a guy who crashes his motorcycle at over 100 miles per hour and then gets up like nothing even happened. Who do you think is going to come off as more masculine? The guy who crashes his bike and immediately starts crying, or the guy who crashes his bike and acts as if his serious wounds do not even exist? A lack of emotions is typically associated with strength and calm masculine energy. There is a very good reason why all of the villains in your favorite Hollywood movies maintain an emotionless image, and it's because holding a non-reactive frame is associated with masculine energy, power, and respect. But more importantly, in the case of females, it is associated with attractiveness. This subtle behavior is like a superpower, and the reason why it gets girls so excited is because a lack of emotion keeps them guessing. When you show too much emotion around a girl, or around anyone for that matter, it reveals things about you, such as your interest level. Girls are drawn to the lack of emotions displayed by players because they can't quite figure them out, in terms of how much they are interested in the girl, and even just from a general point of view. Players tend to make a lot of men anxious because their lack of emotion makes it incredibly difficult to gauge whether or not they like you, and as men, we do not like uncertainty. Females, however, thrive on uncertainty, or on the excitement of not being able to read you or figure you out. So the first sign that you might secretly be a player, or one of a handful of skills that sets players apart from the inexperienced men, is the ability to hide your emotions, or the ability to be cold. You might find it interesting that many poker players are also very good with females, and the same skill that allows them to hold a poker face is what actually transfers over and allows them to be very attractive to women. Number 2, players are smooth. Occasionally, I find myself watching prank videos on YouTube, and I can't help but notice the social dynamics of the situations that these pranksters get themselves into. And the level of awkwardness that you see in some of these videos is absolutely mind-blowing. And although the awkwardness definitely makes for a great prank video, it's not something that really works out that well in the real world. One of the greatest skills that a player has, and one of the top signs that you might secretly be one, is the ability to be smooth. Smoothness is also one of the hardest skills to develop if it doesn't come naturally to you, and it's basically just a game of mental wit. The thing that makes a guy smooth or not is knowing how to say or do the right thing at the right time. That's pretty much it. In fact, players are often referred to as smooth talkers because they know exactly what to say and when to say it, especially when dealing with girls. A natural player can pick out a girl somewhere and have her laughing and giggling and wanting to go home with him without even a hint of awkwardness. That is the definition of smooth. Now remember, being smooth is simply knowing how, what, and when to say or do something. Watching a player around girls is like watching a perfectly tuned Ferrari race around a racetrack. Like the player, the Ferrari is so good at what it does that it makes it look easy to anybody watching, even though it's really not that easy. The ability to be smooth, like anything else in life, is achieved over time with lots of practice and experience. But for many players, this skill seems to come naturally. Number 3, players are not heroes. Players are the purest form of an anti-hero. Many guys out there today, without even realizing it, play the role of the hero, meaning they're always looking for ways to protect girls from guys that they view as evil, such as players. There's actually a name for this, and it's called the hero instinct, and most of you watching probably have it to some extent. Every man on the planet who is in a relationship with a girl wants to protect her, give her emotional support, and help her when she needs help. And these are great things to do if you want to be in a relationship or if you're already in one with a girl. But since players just want to play the field, they totally avoid doing these things. Because when you start giving girls emotional support, like listening to their problems, being protective of them, and constantly helping them when they need help, what you're doing is putting yourself in the role of a boyfriend. And you're basically telling her that that is what you want her to view you as. And the reality is that on average, a typical player is almost always going to be viewed as far more attractive than a husband or a boyfriend. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. If you want to maximize your attractiveness, you can't play the hero. Many unattractive and inexperienced men don't understand the hero concept, and they think that girls feel intense attraction for men who provide emotional support and who will go the extra mile for her. But the reality is that girls are drawn to players because they make it obvious up front that they are not the dude who is going to pay the bills and provide the emotional support. This is yet another one of those paradoxes. Logically, we would think that if we provide girls with these things that it would actually maximize our attraction, yet in the real world, doing these things actually has the opposite effect. Number 4, players are overconfident. Let's just be honest. Many guys get triggered by players because players tend to be very overconfident while many guys are lacking in confidence. Think about the type of person that you dislike the most, and as paradoxical as it sounds, that person is actually the person who you are most like. The typical player tends to be overconfident around girls because he spends most of his time finessing and flirting with them. Anything that you do, if you do it often enough, you will eventually get really skilled at it, and with experience and skill comes great confidence. Never forget that. When it comes to girls, you'll always be 100 times more attractive if you are a little bit too confident rather than being a little bit too unconfident. And for some strange reason, girls are naturally drawn to men who have great confidence. Number 5, players don't tell. Something you guys have to understand about girls is that for a girl, her reputation is everything. Girls are very social, and girls care very deeply about what other people think about them, especially other girls. One of the greatest signs or skills of a player is simply the ability to not tell. A lot of girls want to keep things casual, so they avoid men who quote-unquote kiss and tell. Or basically men who brag especially to other men about girls that they have been with. Players make it absolutely obvious right from the start that what happens between them stays between them. And girls tend to be far more attracted to men who they believe will not ruin their reputation within their social circle. These are 5 of the most effective skills that players have. And this is how they are so incredibly good at what they do. And learning to hone some of these skills within yourself might just help you to bring out the natural player within you.